Okay, so this is Justin Piantadosi for the final sprint for Centipede. I'm going to go through some of the stuff that was outlined here in this first section of the document checklist here. So I'm going to start with player. So here in the default constructor for the player, I'll just try and do this as generally as I can, but also get as much in. It does general sprite setup. This is general house cleaning, um, collisions, miscellaneous setup and stuff. And the updates, pretty obvious stuff. It's keeping track of its speed because this one uses the game frame time as opposed to just moving by pixels like most of the other things in the game do. Here in the draw, pretty obvious. Destroy. It'll go back and go back to the wave manager, which I'll get to in a later video, and tell it to draw the score again. Other things here in the death, it actually does a lot of stuff. So it's going to decrement lives, regen the grid, spawn explosions. It also obviously play the sound from the sound manager, which is a sound strategy pattern. It also checks to see if you've lost your 3 lives or not, which is also kept track of in the wave manager, which again I'll get to later. Some general functions here, spawning with explosion. These are just some hacks that I have in case you get stuck in a mushroom when you first spawn, so you can pretty much just ignore this. It's got collisions here, which it pretty much all they do is they just cause a death of the player. Then this is the movements. These are used for the strategy patterns for both the keyboard and the AI. So also the get shoot function. So again, I will get to those in just a little bit, but that's what that is there. Let's see. User getters and setters right here that are used, and for the most part that's what's happening in the player CPP. Next up is the bullet CPP. Again, general setup stuff here in the constructor. In the initialize, it's registering collision, it's playing a sound. In the update, it's moving its position, and then checking to make sure see if it's off the top of the screen. And then let's see, draws obvious, destroy obvious, and then the collisions. So that is what's up in the bullet. Next we've got the critter. Actually, I'll do the mushroom next. So the mushroom's got a lot of stuff going on. So it's again starts off with general instantiating data, registers collision. Okay, so this part here is important. It when a mushroom is first created, it checks to see what its position is, and if its position is in the player area down below, it will add that to a wave manager, add it to an integer, and that integer is used by the flea to determine if it needs to spawn or not. So this is just for keeping track of how many mushrooms are down in the player area. So that's what that is. Change to poison is pretty obvious. It changes a mushroom from a regular mushroom into a poison mushroom. Let's see. Destroy, also on the same token, where here it adds a mushroom to that integer. When it's destroyed, it also takes away takes away from that integer, and it figures that out based again on its position. So this is for the health of when the mushroom gets hit. First, its health will go down by 1. Then it has a if check to see what its health is. It checks to see if it's poisoned or not, and then sets the sprite to be the correct sprite. And if its health is 0, it deletes it from the mush array. So this would be one instance of the listener pattern. has a pointer back to the mush array, and sets it to null, destroys the mushroom in the score manager and marks it for destroy. Let's see. Also, if the mushroom runs into the spider, it will also be destroyed. So there's that. And then get unsets. So that's all that's happening in the mushroom. Next, I'll go through some of the critters. So I'll start with some of the easier. I'll do centipede last. Spider is, let's see. So it starts off doing some, again, that's it. Pretty much they're all just going to start with random initialization of data. Sprites. In the update, it's got a move function. And then it's also checking to see if its position is off the screen. So if it is, it'll destroy it. Let's see, collision with the bullet, it'll destroy itself. It will add the score for destroying the spider. I was trying to get the so I've got it set up where I can technically change the amount of points of the spider depending on how high or low it is. But I was having problems with the sprite popping up. Like I have a sprite that can pop up if I comment this in, but for whatever reason I can't. I was cramming at the last second and couldn't get the right sprite to pop up. Just chopping up the sprite sheet. So so that didn't quite make it in, but it still gives you points for shooting the spider. So that's that. The wave manager, it'll go to the wave manager, set variables there to see if it's false. It will also stop the sound of the spider. So there's that. This is moving the movement of the spider. It's based on a path. So basically, it just goes through the different selection of random movements. Goes through them and restarts. That's what this function here helps with. It'll just keep cycling through them basically. And then in the initialize, it's just going to register a collision, and it is not just playing a sound. It's using a sound strategy pattern. So I'll get to that in just a little bit. So now onto the flea. There actually isn't much in the actual flea itself, but there's lots of stuff elsewhere that affects it. So random setup, sprite, in the update for it, it will check to see if it can spawn a mushroom. Let's see. If it gets to the bottom of the screen, destroys itself. Let's see. Also is able to actually, okay, so this isn't actually even used. This is still using the sound strategy pattern, but doesn't use this line, so you can just forget that's there. Collisions. Oh, so this is the part of the collision where if it gets hit by the bullet, it speeds up. So movement speed goes up by a scalar. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. This resets it, but if it still has a health, it will increase in speed. So that's that. Next is the spawning of the mushroom. It gets an X and Y position, and just I'll try not to be too specific, but it uses these if else to check if there's random chance and if the spot is open, and then it'll spawn the position there. So there's that. Next is the scorpion. Let's see. So random setup, sprites. Let's see. So for the scorpion, it's basically just going to move one direction, and if it runs into a if it runs into a bullet, it's going to die. The mushrooms themselves have collision with the scorpion, so that they know if they run into a scorpion, they will get turned into a poisoned mushroom. So when I play the game in just a little bit, you can see all that. So let's see here. So this is the big one, the Centipede. This has got a lot of stuff. So I have booleans for the logic of where it's going. I have pointers. I've actually got 3 pointers. It is technically a double linked list, but it has 3 pointers. It's definitely not the best way of doing this, but when I was just in the moment 6 weeks ago, this is kind of how it ended up coming out. I did a different initially, and then redid it, and it's still just kind of a mess. If I was redoing it again, I definitely use the state machine pattern that you were showing in class to tidy this up and make it better, but this is what I had and didn't have enough time to go back and fix it all. So it's got 3 pointers, and a head pointer, a pointer to the head, and a behind pointer. A spawn location of where it will start at. Let's see. It's got a setup of the sprites, and determining if it was spawned at the beginning of the game or not. So let's see. So in the update, it's going to check which direction it's going, and that affects the counters that it's using. It will check for a mushroom. This is the big, gigantic function that's really ugly and gross here that I'll get to in 1 second. But it will also update bodies behind it. So bodies themselves don't actually have an update function. It's just when the head calls them to be updated. I'll bring up the bodies also in just a second. So this is only happening in the head here. So the logic of it is determining first if it's going up or down the screen as a whole, determining if it's going left or right. If it is, then based on that, it will check the position to the left or right of it and see if it's full or if it's poisoned. And if it was poisoned, the centipede becomes poisoned, and it zigzags down the screen all the way to the bottom. Turns off this boolean and would come back up. So the poison behavior is working, and the checking to see if a position is full on your right or left is also working. And depending on if that's true or not, it will set the booleans. So this section here is the left version of this, so that's the right. So let's see. So this is, I'm pretty sure if it's hit the bottom of the screen. Yeah, so this is if it's hit the bottom of the screen. It'll start going back up. This is if it was going the other direction and hit the bottom of the screen, it'll go back up. So now we're out of the, this is all for going down the screen. So now this section here is if it's going up the screen, So this is if it's going left. If it was going right, it'll do the same thing. It'll check for the mushroom position, it'll check if there's a mushroom there, and if it is, it'll run into it, turn around, go the other direction, go back up. So this is also if it hits the top of the screen. If it hits the player boundary, it'll reverse, come back down. That's the same for this as well. So that was the gigantic, ugly if-else statement that I would definitely do differently if this was a 20-week course and I had time to go back and fix it. So that's that. So these are the movement booleans that were set by this function. So the movement booleans are used to determine which direction it's going. So you could basically consider this a helper function to this function up top. So that's that. Next we have the spawn body function, which is used to spawn bodies behind the head whenever a new centipede needs to be created. So all you do is you're passing in an amount of bodies that you'd like to spawn behind it. Basically it's just going to check, as long as you put in greater than 0 first here, it will start setting up all the pointers, and then have a while loop here to spawn more of the bodies, then connect them all, and yeah, that's pretty much what this whole function here is doing. Just creating more body segments behind the head and connecting all of them together. Then these are just getters and setters here for the body. For the head. Spawning of an explosion. This is checking if the mushroom is poisoned or not. That function. And then the collision. So if it's going to collide, it'll talk to the wave manager, talk to the sound manager, and also it will change body to a head. So that's that. Let me see if I should look at this real quick. Yeah, so that's in the Centipede node, so I should definitely go over this. So Centipede head and body are, in fact, I should pull up the body real quick. I'll do the body as well, and then I'll talk about the base class of them. I'm sorry, that's not actually used. Yeah, okay, so I'll talk about sorry, I clicked on the wrong one. So this is the body class. So again, there's less going on in the body class, but miscellaneous setup, get in sets, destroys. The update isn't even really used. So what's really used is the body update here, and this is called by the head of the Centipede, and this updates the position, rotation, and all of that of the body segments. Checking the head gets its direction that the piece in front of it's going. These two essentially do the same thing. It's just that one is for a head segment, and this one is for a head. Head segment, body segment. Then this movement is used to rotate the body segments, depending on if it's going up, down, left, or right. So that's what all of these are doing here. Then it's also got collision with the bullet, which is pretty much exactly like the head. For the most part, it decrements pieces, talks to the sound and wave manager, and then goes to this function called change body to head, which is technically just when a piece of the centipede gets hit by a bullet. So this function here is responsible for deleting sections of the linked list and connecting everything and changing bodies to heads and making sure everything works. So this is another one of those ugly functions that I would totally do differently if I was redoing this, but it was just so complicated and I didn't have enough time to try and go back and fix this. So I'll try and walk through this as quick as I can. So it's got a bunch of if-else checks to see if it was so this is the first check is if it's the head of the centipede. This sets it creates a new centipede head and then sets up all the data for it. I'll try and do this as quick as I can here. So this was So this is if you're a solo head. This is if you're the head of a centipede. Like if the head of the centipede got hit at all, you would do exactly what I was talking about here with setting up the new head. This is if you hit the segment that was right behind the head, it would go inside of this section here, setting up pointers, creating the new head, because when a body segment, like in the center of a gigantic centipede, gets hit, it's actually deleting two items, the item that got hit and the body behind the item that got hit, because it was a body, and changing it to a head. So that's what all of this stuff is here. Setting up the direction that it was going, setting up the data, that the new head needs to have, connecting pointers, connecting body pointers, and determining if they're null or not. This is more pointer stuff, destroying, and then checking to see if you're the butt of the centipede. That was the last section here. So that was just for the head, the piece behind the head. This is in the middle of the centipede. It's very similar stuff. The only difference is talking about a head instead of the piece right behind the head, and connecting pointers and everything to it. So that was one gigantic gross function, but that's what it does, and it works. Then this is also just if you're hitting the 1 key, just destroying the centipede when you're switching to attractor mode and back and forth. So that's that. And that should be all in the code for now for this video. I'll go and play it real quick just so you can see everything working. So as you can see, it's quiet here in the attractor mode, and then with everything displaying. So now we're in level 2. I'll try and get the flea to spawn here. Cool. And that's that. So, cool. Thank you for watching the first video.